In this video, we're going to be backtesting Bitcoin on FX Replay using a simple price action strategy. I'm going to be walking you through the analysis behind each trade, and at the end we will go through the analytics as well to see if the strategy was profitable or not. So let's jump right into it. Okay guys, so starting off on the daily time frame, here we can see price was very clearly bullish, so we're looking for buys only at this point in time. And by the way, I forgot to mention, we're going to be starting from January 2024 all the way up until the present date. We'll see if we get through all of it during this video or not. So as of right now, like I said, price was very clearly bullish on the daily time frame. And the first liquidity target that I'll be looking for price to come up into will be this high right here. So that's the first target we're looking for. At the moment, it looks like price is in this quite range-bound conditions. It's consolidating a lot. But if we jump down onto the 1 hour to see some of the more refined structure, what we can see is that price kind of took out this area to the left. We grabbed these lows. Price then flipped back bullish on the 1 hour, just there. We had this sort of pullback. Price then broke this structure once again. This one did not break that high to the left, so this is not a main structure point. This would just be sort of an internal structure. Price then pulled back, so we're looking somewhere between this low and this high for a potential buying opportunity up into that liquidity level. What we can see currently as well is that price has reacted from this sort of demand right here. We've had a wick into that level. Price took out that low to the left, and at this point in time, I think the lower time frames would be bullish. But let's just go back out for a second. So what I'm basically anticipating from here is that either price continues straight up into these highs, or we come back down, re-grab these lows, and then we can look for the buys instead. Either way though, I am only interested in buying. But since price has tapped into this demand zone, let's have a look at what the 15-minute did in this zone. So very clearly we had a grab of those two lows right there. 15-minute then actually flipped bullish just there. We've had a 15-minute pullback and then a push up, another breaker structure as well, just there. So what I would look at now is a potential buying opportunity within this range. So let's see what price can do. I'm basically seeing right now two zones where we could look to enter from. So we have this area of demand, but we could also see buys from where price currently is because it has grabbed those lows right there. So yeah, let's see what happens here. I'm using the 5-minute for entries, by the way. So we've had a sweep of these lows. Like I said, we could see buys from here, or price could come lower into that demand zone that we have just marked. For this trade to be confirmed, I'd want to see this structure taken out first. I think price just gapped up. Yeah, so there we go. Looks like we're not getting the buying opportunity there. Analysis was very good though, pretty much spot on. This was probably a weekend gap, I imagine. Yeah, so that was the Sunday market open. So price hasn't yet taken out this liquidity level though, so we are still looking to capitalize on buys up to that level. This, however, now is going to be slightly difficult to trade because you have had that big gap up, and yeah, there we go. So price just broke the structure without giving any real pullbacks. Obviously, when you have a big gap like that and price doesn't pull back at all, it's not very tradable, at least for this strategy that we're using in this video. So now we have had that higher time frame breaker structure. Zooming back out to the daily, we can see that price is very clearly still bullish, and I think this was the all-time high maybe. Oh no, at this point in time it wasn't the all-time high. This up here was. So yeah, I'm still looking to buy up into some of these previous liquidity levels. So all we want to do now is basically be waiting for a pullback somewhere into this daily range, and then we'll look to continue buying. Where could we see the buys? Maybe, okay, so I'm basically seeing two levels. We have this sort of demand zone, which is the sort of, you can see this region of consolidation before we had all of this volume step into the market during the Sunday market open. But you also have this liquidity level, which is sort of the last low before this gap that we had. So that would also be a valid area for myself. So let's see if price can pull back or what it wants to do. There we go. So we did have price come slightly lower than that demand zone, but overall it still is holding within this range. So between the low and the high, that is the current trading range you want to be looking at, because that is the current trend that we're looking to trade. What I like now, we have had a grab of this low, price sort of retested into this demand, and we've had this very obvious rejection from that level. So what we can do now is have a look at some of the lower time frame structure. In this case, this is going to be quite hard to trade because we don't have any structure. Price just sold off with all of this momentum, and as we can see here, there is literally no structure for it to break on the lower time frame. So this doesn't look valid for me, unless price can come down, re-grab these lows potentially. Or if it continues higher and creates some more structure, then I'll potentially look to get in. Okay, so on the lower time frame, you could consider this. Obviously, the structure is not very obvious in this case, but this was technically the last 5-minute pullback. Price has now pushed above that. So what I'm looking for now, because we have grabbed these lows, price is still holding that higher time frame trend, and overall the target is now this high. I am gonna try and look for some buys, maybe if price can come down and take out these lows, or maybe come down into the demand zone just below. Let's react to price, see what it does. There we go. So obviously we didn't react from that zone. Once again though, it has just swept all of these lows, so this would be an optimal place to look for the buys in my opinion, if we can get some lower time frame confirmations. So I'm just going to get rid of that quickly. So we can see as well, price sort of reacted from that demand there. Hasn't yet broken any structure. So there we go. You could technically consider that a change of character. Price is still overall bullish. One thing I've noticed so far on Bitcoin is that it doesn't really tend to create any lower time frame structure. It just makes these impulsive moves, quite similar to gold, where you'll just have an impulsive move. It looks like it's going to reverse, but then it will hold demand and just take out previous lows, and then it will continue up. Let's see if we can get a pullback here for a potential entry. could look at this level, but I'd want more confirmation in that region, to be honest. There we go. So price grabbed those lows. Still looking to buy up into that high. Let's have a look what happens here. There we go. I'm going to place a buy just here. Stops covering the low, and we're going to mechanically target a 1 to 3. There we go. Why am I entering this? We had reaction from this demand, price broke structure, pulled back, took out all of the lows in the range, and now the 5 minute has flipped back bullish. So I'm just waiting for a small pullback into demand, and then we can look to potentially buy. There we go. So we are tagged in and I'm going to actually target this high, the next liquidity level. Let's see how it goes. What did this run to? 2.4. By the way, I don't ever make any of my trades break even. I target normally between 1 to 3 and 1 to 4 and just simply let them run to stop loss or take profit, because based on past data, that's what I found is most profitable for me. Let's play this on the higher time frame so it's a bit quicker. And there we go. So first trade actually ended up being a win, 1 to 3.66 risk to reward. This would have been quite a difficult hold if you were trading it live, because price did come back and tap into your entry multiple times. But like I said, I don't ever make the trades break even for that reason, because I found that over a sample of trades, doing so actually detriments your results rather than protecting you from any losses. So yeah, let's move on to the next trade now. Next trade, I'm looking to buy up into these highs right here. Yeah, so price just wants to break the high without giving any pullbacks. That's fine. So now we've had another break of structure. Again, price is still very bullish, so we can look for more buys or more buying opportunities. At some point we could see price come down and take out all of these lows, just being cautious of that. So if we go back on the weekly, 2 liquidity levels that I would watch out for a potential reversal: this one and this one right here, which leads into that imbalance above. So I'm going to be cautious of these 2 levels, because weekly time frame you have sort of had like a shift in trend. You've had break of structure here, price then created a lower low, taking up that weekly structure. So it could potentially, this could just be a pullback for continuations into new lows, or it could be another push up, retracement after a sweep of the liquidity, and then a push up into all-time highs. That's how I would be reading this. So let's see how price reacts to these 2 levels. We can also look to buy up to them though as well. Okay, so we've had a reaction from this sort of demand. See what price does in this region. we go. So you've sort of had a sweep of that demand, 15-minute breaker structure. You've then got this demand there. So if we can get a retest into this area, I'd be happy to buy up into this high to the left. Slightly smaller stop just to make it a 1 to 3. Well, that was unfortunate. So we had a stop loss, price then rallied and probably is going to hit take profit as well. Yeah, there we go. So very annoying, that one. Price literally tagged us out by a pip, then flew to take profit. Onto the next trade, I guess. Analysis was spot on though. So we've had now another breaker structure, but price has just taken out our liquidity level, so we could maybe see a reversal here, or just a bigger pullback to come into these lows. Like I said, price may do. Okay, so let's monitor these zones and see what price does. There we go, so we've started to see that reversal. This line being that liquidity level, by the way. Still though, price is technically bullish until it breaks this low. There we go, so I think we can now get some shorter term sells into the next liquidity level. So we've had that shift in trend on the 1 hour. Liquidity level I'm going to look to target for these sort of sells before the overall uptrend continues is this low right here. The reason I'm targeting this is because you've sort of had this consolidation, lots of liquidity left below these lows, lots of previous buyers in the market, and then you've got that imbalanced area just below it as well. Overall, the trend is still bullish, as we can see, but I think you will get some sells into those lows. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Not really any structure to look at the moment, but let's see what price does. So you've sort of got this area where you could see price come into. I think I already tapped that zone. If it can come back up, that would be nice. So I want to see a sweep of these highs first of all. One thing I've also noticed is that this pair kind of tends to consolidate a lot, and then after the consolidation you'll get one big move. Just gonna play this on higher time frame. There we go. So all of those previous highs are swept. Price is still within that supply zone. So we could either see sells from here, but I'd also consider selling if that high gets taken out. Instead, just checking 4 hour as well. So yeah, let's see how price reacts here. That supply is still holding. Don't really have any 5-minute structure though. So technically we need to see this low taken out unless price can re-grab the highs. Looks like it's going to re-grab the highs instead. There we go. So we've had a re-grab of that high, still within that supply zone. Let's see what it does here. Okay, so you've now had a 15-minute breaker structure there. We sort of left this imbalanced supply. You've got some liquidity below it, so this is now a valid setup for me. I'm going to take it, stops above that high. And the reason this is still valid, by the way, it took out the top of that supply zone, broke structure, created imbalance. So I'm going to be targeting these lows, and let's see if it tags us in or not. No, okay, so great analysis. Price just missed the zone. Quite annoying, but shows our analysis is working. Let's see where price reacted from instead. So yeah, there wasn't really any other entry opportunities for me anyway. So what we can see now, price has broke that structure again. It is getting very close to that liquidity level though, and that is where we want to be looking for bullish continuations. If price can give us a pullback before then, we could look to potentially sell into it. Maybe from this 4-hour supply. Being cautious though, because it has taken out some of these daily lows. I still see this one going though. So let's have a look if it can give us a pullback. Below this zone, there's not really anything for it to react from, so I wouldn't sell below that. See if we can get a push into that zone. Okay, no, so price has now taken that daily liquidity level. So here we can look for some buys. Let's see how price reacts here on the lower time frame. I'm just going to mark that on as well, that we've had. We can now get rid of this structure because that was the sort of internal structure we were following. But now price has taken out that external low just there. Right, and let's have a look how lower time frame reacts. There we go. So we've started to see that shift bullish. We have this sort of demand area. Right, I'm going to enter there. Stops slightly below in case price wants to re-grab those lows. And for this, I'm going to be targeting to be honest, there's not really a clear target, so I'm just going to go for a 1 to 3. Let's see if price tags us in. There we go. So we are now tagged in. Could see a re-entry here. By the way, I didn't really explain that entry. So the reason I entered there and not on the demand was because if we look at the 15-minute, that actually it was based on 30-minute. That low right there was the last bit of liquidity before you had this imbalance. And normally I'll set a limit on that rather than trying to get like a really, really precise entry on the demand. It's not really worth it for the sake of, 0.5 extra risk to reward or whatever the case may be. Again, Bitcoin consolidating after these big moves, and then I would anticipate after it does this consolidation, it will make another impulsive move. This is sort of a common theme I've noticed with this pair. Yeah, so there you go. Big consolidation, impulsive move up. We could have got a re-entry there after this low was grabbed, but because I was already in that original position, I didn't really want to look for another one. And there was quite a nice entry there as well. But yeah, on to the next trade. Expecting price now to just continue bullish because it has grabbed those daily lows, as we can see just there. Just there, as we can see. Expecting price to maybe at least continue up into this high, which is the sort of opposing liquidity. And let's see if we can capitalize on a move up to there. So I'm just going to mark on the hourly structure. We've had that change of character right there. Price pulled back, broke this high. So that's just sort of hourly structure. We're still in January. We're currently up 5.7%, which is quite good going. Okay, so let's see if we can pull back into this demand, and then I would have a look at some buys in there. Could also see price come lower, take out this low, which I'm going to be mindful of. Okay, let's see how price reacts in this region. There you go. So there's your change of character. I'm going to look to enter in this region, target this high, slightly lower entry actually, just so it is a 1 to 3. Yep, so there we go. Good analysis again, no pullback into our zone. And price looks like it's going to take the high. There we go. Again, just looking to follow this hourly trend now. One thing I'm not really liking about Bitcoin so far as well is that it doesn't tend to give good entries. It just sort of impulsively moves up after tapping into your points of interest. I'm just going to mark on that liquidity level as well. That's an area I want to be mindful of. See where could it react from. Okay, we could see a regrab of those lows. Okay, so you can see why it reacted there, but that wasn't really a valid point of interest for me. Okay, so we've now had a re-break of that structure. Price is approaching that liquidity level. There we go. So the liquidity level was taken. I'm not looking to short here. I'm just being mindful that we could see a bigger correction at this level. Overall, my main idea is to keep buying price up into these highs, to be honest. Let's see what it wants to do here. Right, this is a valid point of interest. Price took out all of these lows to the left. and is overall still bullish. So yeah, I'm interested in what price does here. Let's see the lower time frame. Again, not really any structure created unless price regrabs these lows and then breaks this high. Nope, looks like it wants to continue lower. Looks like it just wants to continue straight up. So we did have sweep of that demand, which was still valid, but you just had that impulsive move up with no real pullbacks. Okay, so now we could see it come lower. Have sort of reacted from this demand. So I'd be interested in seeing what happens here. More likely it will sweep this demand before any buys continue. If this one fails, then the next buying region is this low. If price can take that out. But let's see how it reacts here first. You sort of had that breaker structure, but nothing for price to pull back into yet. Maybe we can look at this demand. Quite messy, I'm not really seeing anything clean. There you go, so that point of interest was very accurate. Again though, Bitcoin not really presenting any nice entries. All it does is really just consolidate, quite a messy consolidation and then an impulsive move. Similar to sort of how gold moves during wartime or geopolitical events. But yeah, we have just finished January, so let's have a look at the analytics so far. So far, around 2/3 of the trades won. We had a 5.7% gain. Pretty good going, and keep in mind this was only in 1 month. We only took was it 3 trades or 2? Then we took 3 trades and 2 of them won. So for 1 month, 3 trades, very decent, and we had a 5.7% gain. Again, very decent. That is a good average return. So yeah, I'm not going to go through all of these because this video is already quite long. But if you guys did enjoy this video and you want to see a part 2, make sure to comment below and we will go through a few of the other months on Bitcoin all the way up until the present date. Also, let me know if you want me to backtest a different pair instead, and we can go through that instead of Bitcoin. So yeah, I hope you guys found the video useful. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.